Hey everybody, welcome back to the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton and joining me as always is my good buddy.
This is Ryan.
And this week we are wrapping up Persona 4 Golden. But before we jump right into that, I would like to touch on, that Sony reveal. I don't want to touch. We'll touch more on it next week because I know it's late here when we're doing this because it took me all day to beat Persona. But man, Final Fantasy 16 looks beautiful.
I'm still behind. I haven't been able to actually catch up on all that stuff yet. We were still at the hospital when that event happened.
Oh
Baby
yes,
Theo was born this week.
yes. So congratulations on that, good sir.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So I definitely have to catch up on that news for sure.
Yeah, well, when you get a chance to watch it, the ones that stuck out to me were the Final Fantasy 16, the Hogwarts Legacy game.
Yeah. I
Uh,
did see the
Pretty much
Hogwarts
that.
Legacy one, and I am very torn.
Yeah,
Like,
I know a few different people who seem to be torn about it.
it's like it looks amazing. I want to get it. I love the Harry Potter universe, but I don't want to support a super anti-trans J.K. Rowling by giving her more money. She can go fuck herself. But
Yo ho ho, matey. You know what I'm saying?
no,
Yo ho ho, matey.
yeah,
R.
pirating.
Yes sir. Yes sir. I mean, if that's the way you feel about it, dude, fucking, I'll get it on GOG or something, and I'll just give it to you. That way,
Is it going to be a Sony exclusive or is it
no.
going to be no?
I think it's a Sony console exclusive, but
Okay.
it's coming to PC as well.
Is it?
And
That's cool.
so is Final Fantasy 16. Like all of these games that say they're console exclusives, they're just talking about consoles because all of them are coming to PC.
Yeah.
It would be.
I knew that. I know like Microsoft and Sony and I think Nintendo is the only one who's lagging behind, but a lot of
Oh
people
yeah,
are
Nintendo doesn't want nothing to do
they're
with that.
they're doing like you're saying console exclusive, but all of the games are also going to PC,
Yeah, and it's fantastic. It's
which is
great,
great.
great for
Yeah,
people like us. Yeah.
finally need to start building my PC. So
Yeah, man. And once you do that, you'll be up here with me running some shit, running
yeah,
some shit. Uh, I'm sure there was some more news, but I want to go ahead and jump right into Persona because
yeah,
while it's all fresh on
mhm,
my mind.
for sure.
Um, so I know you have been uber busy with having a kid and such this week, so I will try to fill you in as best as I can.
Yeah, fill me in on what we. I think I last left off was watching you run through that strip club dungeon.
Yeah, for saving Risei. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the last thing that you saw. So I'm gonna touch on the dungeons and sort of like how I felt about the ending and kind of my compared experiences with this and Persona 5, but I don't want to delve too much into like the character development, like as far as the social links and stuff, because I really think that if you're listening to these episodes about Persona and you haven't ever played the game, like I might be spoiling some of the story for you, but that's really not the meat and potatoes of this game. The story is really good, don't get me wrong, but it's building the relationships and becoming attached to the characters where really Persona comes into play highly for me, at least.
yeah,
So after you save Risei, she basically takes over as what Teddy was doing. Like Teddy's nose, he said his nose dries up, and he can no longer kind of smell where the perps are at in the world. So Risei's persona allows her to see through the fog a lot better than anybody else, so she can kind of pinpoint where people are at. So you meet, or you have met, but you start coming into contact more with Naoto,
yeah,
who is this young detective, and Naoto is basically kind of onto you guys. Like he's heard about the Midnight Channel and things like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he overhears a conversation you guys are having in Junes, if I remember correctly, and uh, tells you guys, this game this game is not over, yada yada. So I'm thinking at the time, oh well, maybe he's the killer. Maybe Naoto's the killer. But turns out, no, because he is the next person that gets kidnapped. So you have to go in and save Naoto. Now, through doing this, you find out Naoto is a girl, not a boy. That she is just putting that on, and not to delve into too much, but through her social link, you find out why she claimed to be a boy and dressed the part and things like that. And it's a really cool story. You save her, you beat the persona at the end of that dungeon. I believe it was about 10 floors deep or so.
I think some of the stuff I've been doing, like research-wise, it says I think a fair number of the dungeons go 10 floors deep.
Yeah, it seems to be the good number that they chose, because I mean that seems like a good amount to me, instead of having to go through like 20 floors or anything like that. Like a good 10 is not bad. I think any more than that would have started getting a little tedious. That's just me. So you save Naoto. Naoto joins your party, and Kanji could not be happier. Even though he doesn't want to admit it, he is super stoked.
Nosebleeds everywhere.
Keeps getting nosebleeds, which it just always cracks me the fuck up.
That's just a typical anime thing. Like it always cracks me up too. Watching old Dragon Ball, every time Master Roshi sees any female, just
Gusher.
yeah, for sure.
So after you save Naoto, you guys kind of wait around and you wait for the Midnight Channel to come on again, and no one shows up. So you've done your job. You've saved the person. Now, man, I've played this like the last 3 days straight, and it's like it's all blurring together. But I'm pretty sure that after that, it's calm for a little bit, and then you get a letter that says, "Don't save anymore." And you're like, what in the fuck? And then you get another letter that says, if you save more, and this is over like a couple weeks, but it's like, if you save more people, I'm going to hurt someone close to you.
Oh, shit.
And at that point, I'm like, oh fuck. He better not fucking hurt Nanako. Whoever this is better not fucking hurt Nanako. So you go up and you watch the Midnight Channel next time it comes on, and you see the silhouette of what looks like a little girl. And I was like, oh no. Well, turns out, next day, Nanako gets kidnapped.
Bastards.
And you guys find out who it is. It's this delivery guy named Namate or Namane. Yeah, Namate. And it ends up that Dojima starts going after this fucker, like driving full speed, like chasing him, car chase, and they end up getting
Of course, taking
take his daughter, yeah. So they end up getting into a wreck.
Turns into Liam Neeson from Taken.
Yeah, exactly. He gets into a wreck, and he's all fucked up on the ground. So they call the ambulance and everything, and there was a TV in the back of this truck, because Namate was a delivery man, and that was why he was able to snag people without people noticing, because like he's just a fucking local delivery guy.
Yeah.
So you oh man, my mind just completely blanked. Oh, so you go into the TV after him to go try to save Nanako, and sure enough, they're in there. And he's got her, and you're trying to talk him off the ledge and everything, and he kind of stumbles a little bit, and that's the point where you guys are able to run up there and hit him, and he lets go of Nanako, so you grab her and pull her back, and then his shadow comes out, or he like turns into like this weird shadow monster thing, and you got to fight him, boss fight, and it was a pretty tough boss fight, nothing super bad, but I've had easier for sure. And after that, you take him out of the TV world with you, and Nanako goes to the hospital, Namate goes to the hospital, and Dojima is in the hospital. Well, Nanako's condition suddenly gets worse after a few days of them being in the hospital, and you go running in there, and like as she's holding your hand, she dies.
Brutal.
And at this point, I started welling up, took a picture of myself, sent it to you, and was like, motherfucker. And I messaged James, our buddy from the JRPG Report, and I just said, I have tears in my eyes, and I don't even have to tell you what just happened. Because, you know, he knows we're playing this. He's played it before. So he writes me back and he goes, yeah, man. It was brutal. He got me too the first time. And he's like, I feel for you. And I was just like, fuck. So you guys go to talk to Namate to figure out what the hell, like why he did all of this. You also stop Dojima, who's all fucked up from the wreck, trying to go into this room to quote unquote have a chat with him.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
So like you get him out of there. You guys go in there and talk to him. While you're in there, Teddy is standing next to Nanako still, and he's talking about how he's so sorry he couldn't save her. He just gets completely distraught, and he lays his head down on her. So, back in Namate's room, you guys are talking to him, and you let him know that, like, you know, we know about this TV world, obviously. You need to tell us what the fuck is going on. And he starts explaining that he was trying to save these people. And you're like, save them by killing them? And he's like, no. I didn't kill anybody. He said, I saw the reporter lady was his girlfriend or whatever at the time. Like, when she was having the affair in the beginning of the game, it was with this guy. And he said he saw her on the Midnight Channel, and then she turned up dead. And then he saw the Saki girl on the Midnight Channel, and he tried to warn her about it, but she thought he was just a weirdo. And then she turned up dead. So he says that the night that his girlfriend was on the TV, he walked up to the TV and touched it, and his hand went in. And he was like, oh man, what in the hell? So he figured that nobody else can get in there. He could put people in there, and they would be safe, because when they show up on the Midnight Channel, they die. So from that point on, he started kidnapping people and throwing them into the TV to try to save them. Yukiko being the first one. And I was like, well, back to square fucking one. Who killed them? Because he's pretty much telling you the truth. You know, figure he's being honest with you. And so you're back to square one, and you guys, now there's a pivotal moment. Here's where you can get the bad ending of the game. Yusuke is freaking the fuck out and wants to throw Namate. God, I think that's his name. I'm probably going to be saying it wrong the whole episode. He wants to throw him into the TV and just leave him in there to die. And I said, hold on, no, something's not right about this. And that's when you find out all this other stuff. So that happens before you talk to him. But you can get the it's called the accomplice ending. And that's where, like, if you do that, then the game will end there, and you end up being charged as one of the killer's accomplices, which we'll get to.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, man, I keep saying that a lot. So, but I'm trying to rehash so much information that I've taken in.
You've had to hit this game pretty hard the last couple of days, and I'm sure it's all blurred.
Yeah, it is. Believe me.
A little bit of burnout. I know.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Persona the past few days. So So you find out that the killer, you guys do some deducing, and it's like it had to have been somebody who could walk up to your house and deliver those notes without anybody noticing. And you go around town, and you're asking around town, like, have you seen anybody suspicious? And nobody has seen anybody suspicious. So it has to be somebody that no one would find to be suspicious. And the only person that came to my mind that it could possibly be is the person that I thought it was from the beginning of the game.
It's that
And
fucking cat.
that's good. That was good. That got me. um. So from the beginning of the game, Dojima's partner Adachi seemed very sketchy to me, and
Yeah.
it's because I've already played Persona 5, and in Persona 5, spoilers. Might be the first time I've ever given spoilers for Persona 5 to anybody. Akechi turns out to be the bad guy, and he's like the junior detective police type guy. And so from the beginning, when I saw Adachi and I saw his stupid fucking face, I was like, that's the guy. I bet he's the fucking killer. Just something about it. And turns out I was right. You go to the hospital to confront Adachi, and Dojima ends up showing up, and like you confront him in front of Dojima, and of course you're talking about the TV world, and Dojima's in the background, like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Somebody please tell me what the fuck y'all are talking about. And you end up like pinpoint where Adachi gets pissed off and runs away, and ends up going and hiding in the TV world. So you have to go get him, and he was not an easy fight either, because he was like taken over by part of the shadow conduit things that were causing all the problems. And you end up having to fight. So the fog, the reason that Nanako got sick is because she was in the shadow world, and the fog in the shadow world affects people that don't have personas.
Yeah.
Well, that fog starts leaking out into normal existence, so that's why Nanako didn't get any better and she died, and then it came back because of Teddy, which it shows a quick cut scene of Teddy just like on this long road with a bunch of fog everywhere, and he's like, I don't know where I am, but I remember who I am now. And then he puts his head down and it fades away. Man, at this point I was so invested in this fucking story. I'm like, Adachi's got to go down, man. He's got to go down. He's got to fucking die for what he's been doing. So
Yeah.
you beat him, and then this giant weird ball thing comes out, and you have to fight that. It's got it's basically the thing that's releasing all the fog everywhere, and you have to destroy that. And once you do, then Adachi goes on some other little spiel, and you guys take him in and throw him into prison. Fuck that guy. Fuck him. And there's a lot, it sounds like I'm just like skipping over a bunch of stuff, but in between this, there is a lot of character building. There's a lot of building your social links. I maxed all of my social links that I had, except the fox. I maxed. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say I didn't get all of the social links in this first go. Like, I didn't do the PE class at all. I didn't do band. You know what? No, I didn't finish Yumi. I didn't finish the girl from Culture Club. But I finished Dojima. I finished Nanako, Yusuke, Yukiko, Chie, Naoto, Kanji. Like, all of your party members, I finished all of theirs. I finished the weird hospital nurse lady who I think was fucking you in the break room. Which that's a whole other thing. And I maxed. Oh God, what's the other? Oh, I'm sorry, Marie. I maxed Marie because I knew she's the golden added character. Marie is probably my favorite character in this game.
Yeah.
Which is weird because she's not in the original. So like if I'm gonna pick somebody from the original cast, it's probably like Naoto or Yukiko are my favorites. But I really liked Marie's character and how she built over the game.
That's cool that they were able to successfully add like a compelling character to the game after the fact. Like
Yeah,
it's
it made me want
pretty
to.
bad once you already have like an established storyline and an established like collection of characters and everything, and then to write a completely new one in who can like pass those in terms of like connectability to the target audience. That's incredible writing. It really is.
Yeah, it's got me really interested in playing through Persona 5 Royal eventually because of I played through the original and now they've got this more the added stuff.
Mm.
The new character, the two new characters in Persona Royal. So, I'll get into that eventually. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, so basically after that, you get Adachi, you put him in jail, and you go through a whole bunch of other character building stuff. Now, at this point is where I think the Golden Dungeon came in because you guys go on the skiing trip. You and Yukiko, first of all, like a week or two before this, Margaret, who's the lady who sits in the velvet room with Igor and Marie, contacts you and says that Marie has left the car and they don't know where she went. So
Okay,
she was.
so we're up to where I was watching you play today
Yes.
on our Discord channel.
Yeah. So you have to just basically just live your life until Margaret tells you that she's ready. Well, when you guys go on the skiing trip, I chose Yukiko because she was my waifu, and we went down the slopes and stuff together and ended up in a shack because there was a snowstorm and we couldn't find the lodge. And so we go in there and there's a TV and we see the TV flicker, but the TV's not plugged in. So it's like, well, what the fuck? So you guys go over there and start checking it out. Then everybody comes bursting in and they think that you guys are fucking in the corner. It's like, no, we're not. But thanks for the assumption. You're giving me some credit where I don't think credit is due, but I appreciate it. So you guys check out the TV, and this hand reaches out and grabs Chie and starts pulling Chie in. So all you guys grab her to try to stop. Well, you all get yanked into the TV because apparently Margaret has superhuman strength. She's fucking yanked in like 7 or 8 of you at a time. Just so she pulls you into the hidden forest.
Hollow Forest.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Hollow Forest. And this is where Marie-chan is at. And as you go through it, you hear her poems that she wrote throughout the game, which, again, I don't really want to get into because I don't want to spoil the character building stuff. But her poems are going, and you're going deeper into this dungeon, until
some of those poems were brutal, though. Like,
oh yeah,
they got really deep. But
you would randomly find them throughout the game when you'd go to the velvet room. She wouldn't be in there, and one of them would be laying on the floor, and she was always like, God damn it, I put this in my pocket, how the fuck did it get there? But yeah, so you get to the end of this dungeon, and it's like all these memories, the memories of loneliness, memories of pain, memories of sorrow, memories of happiness, like all this type of stuff. You go through all of these floors.
yeah.
You get to the end, and Murray-chan's there. Well, I'm sorry. Well, first of all, you get about halfway through it, and she meets you and tells you that she has to die to save the world, because she, is part of the fog. She is the fog holder. All the fog is inside of her, and then she disappears. So you guys are like, oh shit, should we let her die? And of course, your character is like, fuck no, let's go save her. So you guys head further and further in. So once you get to the very end, you find her, and she's got this weird fucked up eye. It looks like a green Sharingan.
I remember your reaction. You were like, "What the fuck is up with her eye?" And then the very next dialogue piece was Kanji. It's like, "What's up with her eye?"
Yeah, it's like, damn, what's up with her eye? Oh man, I love Kanji. What a good character he was too. But so you have to you fight her, and about, I don't know, 1/3 of the way through her health bar, she gives up the will to fight. And then you come out, and basically she's pissed off at you guys because she knows she needs to die, and you guys are like, no, there's got to be another way. So she says that she's going to try to shut her mind off and let the fog take her over, and you can defeat that beast, and maybe that will save her. So that's exactly what happens. This big fucking monster comes out, and it fucking reflected everything but
Yeah,
almighty
it's
damage.
watching you do it, and then as you were watching it, I pulled up some stuff and was reading about it. It's a pretty brutal boss fight. Like it's not. I believe it has no weaknesses other than like one move, and then that one move isn't even like super effective. It just does like normal damage.
And not to mention that when you enter this dungeon,
Oh yeah,
all of your items are taken away.
that was fucked. That was fucked.
I
When
had
that happened, I was like, God damn it, I would probably turn off the game right then and there. Like, fuck
dude,
this game.
at one point I had like 8 million yen, right? Because I just did a lot of farming
Yeah,
at one point, and I had spent so much. I had 50 of every item, so that way I was just ready to go. And then I get to this final dungeon and it just wipes it all.
gone, gone.
Or I say final dungeon. It's not the final dungeon, but it's the special dungeon.
It's the
So
golden dungeon.
you
Right?
only you only get the items that you gather through this dungeon. So the boss fight is fucking hard because the only damage that it doesn't reflect is almighty damage. And luckily, I had two characters in my character with Beelzebub as my persona, which was dope, and Naoto. We both had almighty damage attacks.
That's awesome.
So we used those and persevered. It was a fucking tough boss fight, but we persevered and saved Marie. You know, she falls down and she's not responding or anything, and you guys are all holding her, and people are like upset, and Teddy's like no, and goes up and starts rubbing his fur on her face, and she comes to and tells him like get off me, and she turns out to be all right. You know, you saved the day again.
Yeah.
So at this point, I knew that the end of the game was coming up, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So I'm not gonna lie, I looked up a spoiler-free guide that would not tell me anything, you know, ending or wise or anything. But it did say on the day after on the March, it's March 19th, I believe, or March 20th, one of the two. You have to go around and speak with all of your confidants, the people that you raised your social links with. You have to go talk to them all. And you talk to everybody, and then it asks you to go talk to Dojima and Nanako. So you go and talk to them. You know, you assure Nanako that you're going to miss her, you're not going to forget her, all that type of stuff. And then it asks you if you want to go home. The guide said, don't go home. So I said, all right. I'll check this guide out. And I didn't go home. I went back to Junes and met up with all my friends. And I had gotten a letter. So I pulled the letter out, and it was from Adachi. From jail. And he was telling me that the more he thought about it, the more he was wondering who actually gave him that power in the first place, because he didn't have it before he came to Inaba.
Yeah.
And neither did you. And neither did Namatame. So
That gets the wheels spinning again.
exactly.
You're back to square one. Like
Exactly. So you start thinking, who is the first person you met in town? And it's like, well, it was my uncle and my niece, Dojima and Nanako.
yeah, Dojima and Nanako.
So you go back to the Samagawa floodplains, head to the riverbank. They're hanging out down there. You thought that Dojima was getting ready to drown Nanako. And you talk to him, and he starts talking about, well, we were at the gas station, but it was just us.
He
and
didn't
everything.
really remember shit. It was Nanako, fucking MVP right there.
And she's like, well, didn't you talk to that weird gas station dude? And you're like, oh, wait, yeah, I did. And Dojima's like, oh, I wouldn't say he looked weird, but now that you mention it, I had never seen him before, and I don't think I've seen him since. And you're like, oh, that's odd. So you got to go track some shit down. So you go back, and start walking around the town, and no one's seen anybody you're talking about. Like, you start walking up to people just like, hey, hey,
Did you give me this power?
did you give me
Did
this
you give
power?
me this power?
Who are you? Why did you do this?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I went into the Velvet Room, and Igor is like, oh, very interesting. I'm going to whatever the fuck, and he summons a bunch of these truth crystals that are floating around that apparently you have done throughout the whole game, and he brings them together into an orb. It's called the Orb of Sight, I think it was what it was. And no,
Yeah,
basically,
that's what it was.
when you have it, nobody can lie to you. You can see through bullshit.
Yeah.
So you go walking out, and who's the only person left in town but that weird gas station dude? So you go up, you talk to him, and he reveals, yeah, he gave you that power, and he gave Adachi that power, and he gave Namatame that power. He's like, yeah, I gave it to you all to shake up boring life in this little town. I want to, yada, yada, yada. Reveals his true self to be Izaname, which I thought was the female version of Izanage. Like, I thought that they were, like, intertwined, but I guess I could be wrong, but I might be right. I have no idea. I'm gonna be blunt and honest with you guys. I stopped here, and I will probably cover the last fight at the beginning of our next episode before we cover the next game. Because at this point today, I've played Persona for over 12 hours. Actually, I started playing this morning at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you started pretty early this morning. I remember when
So-
you messaged me.
About 15 hours today. 15 to 17 hours I put in on this fucking game. With some time, to take into, like, go.
We have so many games on the list that are less gameplay hours than just that.
My Steam, now, I won't lie. There were 2 nights that I stood in Dojima's house and went to sleep listening to Signs of Love. So there's probably a good 20 hours of this that isn't actual gameplay time, but my Steam says, you've played this game for 112 hours. Would you like to recommend this to other players?
Brutal. That's
Yeah.
so many hours.
I know, and this isn't the longest game on our list.
Well, yeah, no, for sure it's not. I know
there's-
there's a couple other ones on there that are ridiculously long.
There's going to be some games that I'm just going to go ahead and apologize to the listeners now. There's some games that are probably going to be like 6 parts long. Like, there's just nothing we could do about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
nothing we can do for sure.
uh,
But I know we got quite a bit of shorter games. Hopefully, a short game comes up on
there,
the list next, so that I can even probably attempt to get some actual gameplay in again.
I do believe that the majority of the games are shorter than they are long, but I don't know. But man, as a whole, on the whole, as a whole, Persona 4 Golden is a fucking phenomenal game.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Where would you rank it, or how would you grade it against 5? Story for story, personas versus for personas, like character
Okay.
development versus character development.
Right off the bat, 4 has better character development.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. I might get fucking flamed for this. I preferred Persona 5's story to Persona 4's story. The murder mystery was cool and all that, but the story in Persona 5 just caught me more.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a murder mystery. It was more like a psychological type of
Was
mystery.
5 your introduction to the Persona
Yes.
franchise?
That too, that was also my first.
Maybe that's why it holds a little bit more.
And
like
and obviously, Persona 5's newer. It's more polished. The battle systems are smoother. Like, it's a lot more. And in the older Persona games, when you wanted to gain Persona, it was like a card thing where it would shuffle a deck of cards, and you might get
Yeah,
a
I
card
noticed
with a
that.
Persona on it, right?
Noticed
In Persona 5, they bring back the interrogation thing from the Shin Megami Tensei series. which
Interesting.
is when you beat a persona, if you weaken it, you can all out attack it, or you can ask it to be part of your group, and then you can take it in if you're strong enough. So the playing through and that with being different was a little weird for me at first. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I got used to it. But the character building was fantastic. Like I feel like those kids are my best friends. You know, like it's really they did really good job. Now that's not taken away from Persona 5 because both these games are fantastic in their own way. But I would give the edge to 5, but I think that might be just because A, like you said, that was my first introduction to the series. B, it's more polished,
Yeah.
you know, and C, its music is tremendous.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say the music for Persona 4 Golden was bad because it was not. It was also fantastic, but I think the Persona 5 soundtrack edges out a little more for me because Persona 5 soundtrack is more jazzy and less J-pop.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But man, I thoroughly enjoyed this game.
How mu- on a 1 to 10 Persona scale?
If I had to give it 1 out of 10 Personas, well, I gave Persona 5 a 10 out of 10. So I would give this a 9.
9.
A 9. Room for improvement, but not much. In fact, 9.5. I'll give it a 9.5. I really, really liked it.
That's good.
The characters themselves, man, I can't get over like how well they did with that.
Yeah.
Like the Kanji's story and Naoto's story in particular were just very, very well done, in my opinion. And there's characters that I didn't even get to. Like apparently one of the social links that you can get is Saki's brother. I had no idea.
That one's got to be brutal.
I had no idea. Oh, when you first meet him, he's like, "Yeah, I'm Saki's brother. Are you friends with that Yosuke dude? Well, I fucking hate him, and I hate you too." And he just walks off. And you're like, "All right."
All right.
Alrighty then.
Let's work on that social score.
Yeah, right. But that leads me to this was a pretty good port. I only had it freeze up on me a couple different times, and in the amount of time that I played, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. I had a little bit of a problem, but I'm sure it's just how the quality of my laptop as far as like performance goes. The gameplay itself didn't give me any problems, but all the anime cutscenes were choppy and laggy
Yeah,
and
it might have been they were trying to render at a higher resolution than your laptop
yeah,
wanted to.
probably. But I it played pretty well as a port, like you're saying,
Yeah,
compared to what was that game that we had that was a port that did not play very well. It's probably Corpse
I was gonna
Party.
say it was a
However,
Corpse Party was
yeah,
a PSP or a Vita game, one of the two.
yeah,
And
it
with
was probably that one, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. But
and that's another thing that I have to remember about this game comparing it to 5 is that Persona 5 was made for a PlayStation 4.
yeah,
Persona 4 was a PS2 game and then was ported to Vita with Persona 4 Golden and was given the extra dungeon and the extra character and stuff, but that's still a Vita game. So,
yeah,
of course, the dungeons and the scenery and the places you can go are not going to be as fleshed out as a PS4 game. They're not going to be as big with sprawling and pretty. You know, it's kind of like when we played Ys 7.
yeah,
When you jump into Ys 8, eventually when we get there, it's a world of difference. It's a world of difference. So, we'll get there. We'll get there.
it might be next. Who we don't know. But
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think of any other things I want to touch on before we get to the next game. I will see this game to the end. I will. I am so close that I will see it to the end and report back. I do also know
are
that
you gonna go for just this current ending that you're working on, or are you gonna go through and do the whole true ending?
I might do the true ending eventually.
So it's like another 100 hours of gameplay.
Yeah. I will tell you this: when I go through and do New Game Plus, I will be cheating like a motherfucker,
Yeah. I,
just
it's
because.
probably the fastest way to get through it. So,
Yeah, it's like I just want to see the end, and so why not just fucking download a trainer and get to it, son?
yeah.
Or use WeMod. I don't know if any of the listeners know about WeMod, but it's like a trainer program. It's got all kinds of trainers in it, and it's Mr. Anti-Fun is part of it. It's a fantastic program if you're a cheater like I am sometimes. But I do not condone cheating in online games. If you play online games and you cheat, you fucking suck.
Yeah.
But if you want to cheat at a single player game, by all means.
Yeah.
That's like in uh, Red Dead Redemption 2 online. I turn my trainer off when I go online, just so I don't accidentally even hit it to bring it up, because I don't want to get my account flagged and banned and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I'm playing in single player mode, dude, it's fun to just be in the middle of town and spawn a legendary bull alligator and watch it wreak fucking havoc.
I bet you that is fun.
It's great. It's great.
I haven't played that one yet either. I'm sure we'll get to it
Oh
eventually.
man,
But
one of these days, whenever you have some time, I'll hop on Discord and I'll just go wild with the trainer and show you all the ridiculous shit that I can do with it. All right. Well, wow, we're 40 minutes in. I talked really quickly about all of that, I guess. I
yeah.
thought that this was going to go a lot quicker, or I mean, a lot longer, but
It could have been, but like you said, you just wanted to touch on like the main storyline and like some of the dungeons and gameplay
yeah.
style.
And
You could we probably could have gone another hour longer just talking about the social aspect and the character development of this game.
that's a
And
big thing for me, because I can't promise I'm going to do this with every game. But the Persona series, to me, like, you can vouch, like, you know little to nothing about Persona 5, and it's one of my favorite games ever. And it's because
yeah,
I am so against spoiling that game for people.
yeah,
It was hard for me to give that little spoiler earlier in the episode.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, that was tough because it's such a good game, and I feel the same way about this game, except this game's story is cool. Except I kind of saw it coming, but to me, this game was not. What I got from this game was not an amazing story. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, great fucking story, but
hmm
it was that character development and you getting to know them. So I don't want to ruin that for people, because I want them to experience that themselves. That way they can be like, "Oh man, I totally get what Dalton was talking about." Or they could be like, "What that fat fuck is stupid. What is he talking about?
yeah,
This game sucks. I want to play more Corpse Party Blood Drive.
yeah,
These guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about."
yeah. No.
uh,
I I really want to meet one of those people. Like,
well,
what is it about this game that you absolutely love? Like that game was hot garbage, and you're sitting here fighting us tooth and nail on the interwebs because you love Blood Drive. Like,
and I don't even know if there is a person. I know when we were on Maelstrom Radio,
yeah,
somebody in the chat was like, "Oh yeah, that's universally panned as a terrible fucking game."
yeah,
I was like, "Oh man." But there is probably a chance that I will do a little more talking about Persona 4 Golden here in the future too, because our friend James, the JRPG Report, wants me to come on and discuss it with him about how I liked the PC port and how it ran, because he played it on Vita.
yeah,
So that'll be cool. I will keep the listeners informed as to when that is going to be coming out and all that jazz. And when we do it, it's always good to talk to our buddy James. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. All right. Well, I know Steamy's still having throat problems, but
yeah,
but
yeah. He is, but
I know he can still tell us the
yeah,
number. So
I can
hit
still kick on that randomizer.
hit me with it. What number we got, brother?
All right, let's see. What is he? What is he doing? What is he doing? Spinning, spinning, spinning. All right. Looks like we. What is that? 359. Game 359 on our
Three
list.
359. 359. You wanna give me
I
any
know.
hints?
I know this game.
Oh well,
I know this game. I
that
have
should be a hint.
played this game before. And lucky for you, it is a super short game.
Hey.
No sinking 100 hours into it. I mean, it's not like real short. It says completionist is 33 and a half hours.
Yeah, but
But you
depending on
can
the
fly through the game in 9 hours. 9 hours.
9 hours.
And it's
Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
let's see. Um God.
Without giving it away.
It's going to be hard to give you a hint without giving it away because there's not many other games on the list that are comparable, really.
Do you play as a superhero?
Yeah, you do.
You do? Okay, then I know it's not Batman.
No, it's not.
Oh, then that leaves it's one of the Ultimate Alliances, right?
Yeah, it's number 2.
Yeah. Yay. All right. I have never played that game.
No, I
No.
have.
I
So
have never.
this will be like the exact opposite of this episode.
Yeah,
Right.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. All right.
I mean, both of them are really short. If you want to throw both of them and just do an Ultimate Alliance,
Yeah, we could try that.
do 1 and 2. If we did just the basic playthroughs on 1 and 2, it's only 22 hours. Like that's and I know when the first one came out, one of the guys I was stationed with in the Navy got it, midnight release or whatever. We went back the very next fucking day to return it to GameStop because we had already fucking beat the game, and we're kind of like disappointed with how short the gameplay was. But it was still a really fun game. We stayed up all night just flying through that game.
Word up. Yeah, I mean, we can do that. We can do the Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2.
Yeah, let's hit both of them up.
Cool, man. Sounds good to me. Real quick. Deadpool in either of them? Do you know?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Honestly.
I don't know because I know there's like a weird contract dispute with Deadpool.
Yeah.
Or no. I'm sorry. It's X-Men that I'm thinking of. That I think isn't there a weird thing between like X-Men's not owned by Marvel, they're owned by Sony or something, or maybe it's the movie rights or something. I don't know. It might be the movie
I
rights.
think there might be a couple X-Men, but not like the full lineup or the full team. I think there's just like maybe some of the more popular characters. It's been forever since I played these games. I don't remember most of the characters off the top of my head, but
Okay, I mean, cool. That's fine.
yeah.
Well, I will dive into that later tonight, and we'll see how that shit goes, man. Well, then that leaves us with if you would like to find us on social media, you can find us at facebook.com/the Steam Machine Podcast or on Twitter at Steam_podcast. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes if you will. You can also find us on Spotify, Podcast Addict, not Stitcher. I have not done Stitcher yet, but basically anywhere but Stitcher that you get your podcasts, you can find the Steam Machine Podcast. I recommend Spotify. That's one of the easiest ways to listen to it, or if you have an iPhone, of course, iTunes. But if you have an Android and you don't like Spotify, Podcast Addict is a great app. That's what I use. I'm subscribed to like 200 podcasts. It's some ridiculous amount. Like that's all I do is listen to podcasts. So we're out there. We out here. We out here. Is it like Action Bronson style?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, man, I think that mic that you got coming would look real nice up there by Mr. Goldblum, just chilling.
Oh, yeah. We'll see.
If there's enough room.
I'll have to figure out ways because I think I'm moving my setup eventually. So we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll do it. Well, is there anything that you would like to touch on before we peace out this motherfucker?
I think I hear little Theo having a meltdown, so I'm probably gonna have to go tag in and let Mama get a break.
Yeah, definitely let her get some sleep and let him know that we'll beat some people up as his namesake.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Anyways, that'll bring the end of this episode of a Steam Machine Podcast. He's Ryan. I'm Dalton, and as always, ladies and gentlemen. Take it easy.